Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. I'm Dr. Tilakes Ramasamy. Now we are moving to second part of ophthalmology roundtable in ocular bones, and this part mainly includes the surgical management of ocular bones. And now I'm talking with Dr. Mukul, who gonna discuss mainly about the early reparative phase. So welcome, Dr. Mukul. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, doctor, and thank you so much, everyone.
So my first question is, what is early reparative phase and how does it involve?
Yes, doctor, thank you so much. And the early reparative phase, it is our transition periods of ocular healings in which the immediate regeneration of ocular surface epithelium occurs. It's occur at after the 8 to 20 days, and it gives way to the chronic inflammatory response. It gives to the stromal reparation and scarrings. If the corneal epithelium does not heal, like it can lead to the persistent epithelial defect, and these persistent epithelial defects, it can lead to the microbial infections and macrophage recruited there by the inflammation that can lead to the stromal ulceration or the corneal ulceration. And the stromal ulceration, corneal ulcerations, it's attributed by the action of the digestive enzymes like we can say collagenase, metalloproteinase, and other proteins that release from the regenerating corneal epitheliums and polymorpholeucal leukocytes.
Okay, all right. So how do you approach or how do you proceed the patients in the state of early reparative phase?
Yes, doctor. In the early reparative phase, we will how we will manage. We need to manage our stromal ulcerations and to stimulate the normal epithelialization of the ocular surface. Because regenerating corneal epithelium, it need to be epithelializations, so it can be should be there, and it can be non-surgical or can be surgical treatment.
Okay. So as you said, it can be non-surgical and surgical. Let's start with the non-surgical. So what are the principles of non-surgical management?
Yes, so the non-surgical management, it includes the drugs, and the main principle is here to maintain the corneal to maintain the globe and also re-epithelializations of the corneal tissues, and it helps in the maintain the collagen formation. So these are the drugs that help and support the repair and minimize the ulcerations like stromal ulceration or the corneal ulcerations. Like we have the ascorbate, vitamin C, or we have collagenase inhibitors. Ascorbate C, as you all know, that helps in the collagen formations, and so it improves the collagen synthesis. It increase the collagen synthesis and prevent the development of the corneal ulcerations, and it accelerates the healings. We can use the oral ascorbate, and either we can use topicals ascorbates. Other, we can use collagenase inhibitors that promote the wound healings by inhibiting the collagenase activity, and also prevent the stromal or corneal ulcerations like cysteines, acetylcysteine, sodium EDTA, and etc. And also we have other drugs also like protokinins, so we can use that.
Now we are moving to the main actual discussion about the surgical management. So what are the principles here?
Yes, doctor, there is a primary intentions or the primary principles of the surgical management is to maintain the globe, and we need to promote the re-epithelialization here. And we have the loads of the surgical management techniques, like we have the tarsotherapy and all other things, but I'm mainly focusing on these four, that is the initial debridement of the necrotic materials, mucous membrane graftings, amniotic membrane grafting, and the tenoplasty. And I would like to show the image here about the grade 3 and the grade 4. We can see in here we have the total grade 3, that is a total epithelial defect. They are hazy cornea with iris details obscures, and we can see the grade 4. I'm just focusing on the grade 3 and grade 4 because we need just surgical treatment is a logical approach for all the treatments, but we mainly focus on for the grade 3 or grade 4 patients according to the Hol's classifications.
Okay, that's cool, doctor. So the next, as you mentioned about the principles of surgical management, so first I will talk about the debridement of the necrotic material. So how does it involve and what are the procedures in this case?
Yes, doctor. The debridement of the necrotic materials, it simply means the removal of the necrotic parts from the conjunctival tissue and from the corneal tissue. So we have the goal of excision, it reduces the inflammatory reactions due to the product resulting from like alternation, changing of the necrotic conjunctiva that involves in the detergence of the sites. We can have the procedures like we have the surgical debridement technique, that perform in operating room, like we perform under the general or local anesthesia. It mainly used when we have large area of the necrotic tissue, like if you have the full globe is necrotized, so we use the surgical debridement techniques. The main thing is about that it is more expensive and usually reserved for large and bodily infected wounds, and it creates a much larger wounds. That wound will be clean and heal much faster.
Okay. So the next one you mentioned about the mucous membrane grafting. What are the indications and what are the advantages of this mucous membrane grafting?
Yes, mucous membrane grafting is the medical approach, or we have now it's going underwent good techniques for the surgical management, because it has the main indications and some advantages, because it used for the reconstruction of the conjunctival mucosa, it used for the clinical management of the dry eye ocular disease, and also used for the treatment of some infections, like we have trichiasis, and also used for the treatment of the sim black phone. And we have some advantages here, like we have the oral mucus graft serving as a free graft, so we can use here the free graft, and we have easily assess our oral buccal mucosal membranes, and it excellent tissue property we have about the buccal mucosal membranes, so we can have some advantages here.
Okay, so what are the procedures of mucous membrane grafting?
We have the procedure here. So the graft of the buccal mucosa is first we will take the graft from the, like we normally use the buccal mucosa, because that is much thinner than the other graft tissue, and it is normally assessed. So, and in this we will sampling zone, we will first inflate it with the xylocaine 2% lidocaine solution, and we use the adrenaline, and then we can see here. See, this is the buccal mucosal graft image, in which we are taking from the posterior 1/3 of the lower lips, we are taking the buccal mucosa. So then after that we will take that buccal mucosa, because it has capacity to regenerate the epitheliums, so it's helpful for the conjunctival epithelializations.
Okay, okay, next we move to the amniotic membrane transplantation. So what are the main principles here?
Yes, amniotic membrane transplantations is the best techniques, and it's most commonly used in the grade 3 or grade 4 patients, and it has severe injury, and it is used for the transplantations. Normally we took this amniotic membrane that from the delivery without a cesarean section, because we have need to prevent the risk, like we have the bacterial contaminations, and we also need to prevent the HIV, and we need to prevent the AIDS, so it should be taken from the without cesarean sections. And we will preserve it, can be cryo preserved, so we can, like it preserves at -80 degree temperature, and it consists of unstratified epithelium, basement lamina, and vascular membrane. The best thing about the amniotic membrane that it facilitates the reepithelialization by reducing the inflammatory reactions, and also it behaves as actual base replacing the basement membrane. We know that basal cells that help in the regeneration, so it has actual replacing basement membrane. And the other one most beautiful thing about the amniotic membrane, that it cannot be rejected, because it is not dirted to class H2HL antigen.
Okay, so what are the indications of amniotic membrane transplantation?
We have some indications, like here we can use for the pterygium excisions, then we can use for the corneal ulcers, we can use in the ocular surface burns, neoplasm, and persistent epithelial defect or gimbal stem cell deficiency. So we can broadly use it as to reconstruct the ocular surface after the various procedure, and we can use as a graft techniques. So we can use as a graft, or we can use a bandage or patch form.
Okay, so that's interesting. The final part of our discussion is the most interesting one, tenoplasty. So, like, how does it involve in case of ocular burns? What are the principles?
Yes, tenoplasty in nowadays it's a modern surgical treatments to treat the severe burns like corneal ulcerations and the grade 4. And if we have limbal vascularization, that is a logical approach. If you have some patient having the limbal vascularity, complete limbal vascularity, that is logical approach for them. And also it has some advantage, that anterior segment necrosis. The principle of the tenoplasty is based on the plastic operation in which vital connective tissue of the orbit is used to reconstruct the conjunctival matrix of the globe up to the limbus. And it can be combined with AMT, amniotic membrane grafting, or without lamellar corneal patch grafting. So because it prevents the further scleral ischemia, prevent the anterior segment necrosis, melting, and the sterile ulcerations.
So what are the procedures in case of tenoplasty?
Yeah, I need to discuss here about the processes, because that is the main things that we need to start from the debridement of the necrotic materials. Here we need to all debridement, then we will put the Tenon's capsule there. We need to put the importance here to keep the blood vessels intact, and during our surgery procedures, then we need to blood vessels intact and the Tenon seat with a smooth surface. And in all the patient, finally we will scleral ulceration. It's a good technique to heal the scleral ulcerations and promote the reophthalmizations, and we can save the patient's eye from the anterior segment necrosis.
Okay, doctor.
We have some images here in which we are doing the patient with the tenoplasty, and this is the patients having the amniotic membrane grafting over the tenoplasty we are using.
Okay, so how do you think about the outcomes of this surgery?
Yeah, we have some outcomes like between its first procedures were done between the 1987 and the 1994, and in that there are 59 patients was there, and there is 75 severely burned eyes were treated with these techniques with the tenoplasty, and at that time there is 243 Tenon's flaps were prepared. And what the outcome results was very well and very good results will find there. In the all cases, the scleral ulceration were prevented or healed. Epithelializations comes in some patients. It's reepithelialization occur in some like 21 days, but in some it will occur in the 50. But the cure was possible. In some cases, the simple upfront formation was occurring. That's it in 26% of the cases.
Okay, doctor, that was a really very interesting presentation. Thank you so much for sharing knowledge with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, doctor, and thank you so much, everyone.